Hello, everyone, and welcome to. It's the third episode, isn't it, of the Thinking Out Loud
it's the third.
podcast recording thing, whatever you want to call it. Of course, we're still in splendid isolation, for want of a better way of putting it. So we're now moved to Zoom actually to do this rather than Facebook.
It's much better.
It's much better. Yeah, it's much better, isn't it? So I think one thing we're going to be starting to talk of today is some recent news.
Ed Miliband.
Which has rather amused us, and that is the shadow cabinet pickings. Of course, over the weekend, Sir Keir Starmer was elected as the new leader of the Labour Party, and over the weekend or so, he's been picking his shadow cabinet. Much to our delight, in some way, he's brought back Ed Miliband,
who's renowned for eating bacon sandwiches and making a fool of himself.
Well, Ed Miliband's renowned for making a fool of himself, regardless of whether he's eating bacon sandwiches or not.
It's fair to say that we only got this news about 10 minutes ago, and we were
literally just before we started.
We were all completely in shock because I was because I didn't believe it.
I thought it was just some joke news you told me at first, Matt. I could not have seen Ed Miliband coming back into the shadow cabinet.
I haven't seen it on the news yet. I just saw it on the messages you guys sent, so I didn't believe it.
No, but it's definitely true. So he's been brought back as shadow business secretary. Of course, spending the last 5 years. Well, that's
Diane Abbott.
That's Diane Abbott, mate. But no,
he's put in the shadow cabinets.
What you've got to understand, viewers, listeners, etc., is that Ed Miliband was one of the people when we were at school who we loved taking the piss out of the most.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just relay some of the daft things he did.
Yeah,
the headstone for a start.
Yeah, let's start with the headstone.
Oh, do they literally call it the Ed Stone? Oh, I'll get it now. That's actually quite a brilliant pun. I remember that.
That was a nickname given to it by the media, the Ed Stone.
Which was basically a plaque like the Ten Commandments, but it had his policies on it.
Yeah.
But they were the vaguest policies ever written by anyone. It didn't exactly go into detail. And it cost taxpayers' money to make it, and it was a lot.
How much was it?
I can't remember how much it was, but it was.
But I mean,
a fair bit.
It's not so much the policies that we find hilarious; it's the fact that it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
he's not got the best of PR reputations, to put it that way. I mean, the bacon sandwich for one.
Yeah, there is the bacon sandwich.
Yeah, the bacon sandwich.
It's just perfect.
Which was, bless him. That couldn't have gone much worse because the other problem with that is, of course, that Ed Miliband's Jewish and Jews aren't supposed to eat pork.
Yeah.
So he ended up offending. He did end up offending a sizable portion of the Jewish community by doing that.
I can't remember.
On top of being. Looks like it's being kicked in the balls.
Yeah. I mean the intro. I can't remember if it was him. I'm sure it was that nearly fell off the stage on Question Time.
It was.
Yeah. Live on telly. Because he was just saying goodbye to Dimbleby and he just nearly fell off.
That was the thing. The sad thing with Ed Miliband is that he's clearly a decent human being. Yeah. He's clearly a decent guy. But
it's fair to say that. There's always the exceptions with everything, but most politicians are generally nice people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, regardless of
ideology.
Yeah, and Miliband is certainly a decent human being. It's just we can't help not laughing at him. Yeah. He's not blessed in the PR skills department.
Yeah.
He's only got so far because he's well connected. Let's put it that way.
The accent doesn't help.
Yeah, and his father as well.
But no,
but more in the academic world, I would say.
His incredibly nasal voice, and the fact that he does have a passing resemblance to Wallace off Wallace and Gromit.
Yes, he does.
Cheers, Gromit.
I mean, let's just say his brother is probably very happy that he didn't get the leadership, because he's done much better for himself now.
Well, didn't Ed Miliband screw his brother over or something in the Labour leadership race? Not literally.
Thank you for correcting yourself there. No, well, yeah. I mean, in 2010, when Labour lost the election that year and they left office, obviously Gordon Brown resigned, and both of the Miliband brothers, bless them, decided to run for the Labour leadership. And David Miliband should have won, really, because David Miliband was probably the best candidate out of all of them running. He was the most sensible, he was the best, he was the most media savvy, all that kind of stuff. But he wasn't quite left-wing enough for the unions. So
Miliband won. The other Miliband.
Miliband won because of the trade union bloc vote, which was changed for the 2015 election, where they moved to alternative votes, where they do the election over several rounds. The only trouble is, under all three systems where that's been used, the subsequent winner of the election has won in the first round each time, so it kind of makes the need for more rounds a bit irrelevant.
And in the 2015 election, you could pay £3 and you could vote in the Labour leadership election immediately.
If you were that meant you were an affiliated supporter, they bumped that up to £25.
Very.
Oh, so that's resolved that problem then.
Yeah, it resolved that problem quite well, because what happened was in 2015, you had all these people paying £3 to vote in the Labour leadership election, all of whom were utterly bonkers, and
especially Mr. Corbyn.
They all voted for Jeremy Corbyn. That's one of the reasons why he won such a big majority in the 2015 Labour leadership election. Because you had all these people joining at such a cheap rate to vote in the leadership election. I mean, the Labour Party bigwigs must have thought they were onto something with having a cheap price, but then realised they shot themselves in the foot.
Because some Conservatives were just signing up for the Labour membership, only £3, and then immediately going to vote for Corbyn, so I heard.
There was a couple of instances of that. I mean, there was a Tory MP who did it, actually, but then he got rumbled, so he couldn't vote in the end.
That was quite poorly managed, I thought, that leadership election.
Yeah, I mean, this year's leadership election hasn't been much better, but it was a damn sight better than the 2015 one.
I suppose the trouble they've had with the Labour leadership election this time is that it's been completely overshadowed.
I mean, I've not even heard much about the Labour leadership contest anyway, due to what is in the news.
Speaking of what, did you watch the Queen's speech?
Yes, I did.
I did watch.
It was a bit of a letdown.
I thought it was good.
I was excellent.
I thought it was going to be something more important, but it was a reassuring message.
Well, it was quite
important. We were hearing from our most gracious sovereign.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I thought there was something more serious happening, or something like that. Anyway,
there is.
What? That she died?
I'm not. Look, I was just glad to. Can I finish?
All right, go on then.
I was just glad that the Queen was speaking, but honestly, I expected a bit more bigger from her.
Let's be honest. If she was going to do something else like that, it would have been to announce the death of Charles, and she would have just gone, "Take
That's
that,
what I mean,
bitch."
I thought, yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Charles is probably trying to get through the gates of Windsor, or wherever she is, just so that he can infect her and he can finally become king.
Come on, Marie.
Oh, God.
I want to be king.
My plan is coming in.
Oh, God. No, but, yeah, I mean, he must be shitting himself because he'll be worried about his cheese supply.
Where's the cheese?
I went to the supermarket today. It's the first time I've been into Harrogate for a while since this whole thing happened, and there was absolutely nobody there. It's really eerie.
Living in a ghost town.
Because where I live, you don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, you live in Darley. It's
kind of normal. But in the centre of Harrogate, it was just dead.
I went into the centre as well this morning, and it was same thing. Just a bit like I Am Legend, except without all the animals running around. Sorry for ruining the movie if you haven't seen it.
I haven't been into Harrogate for probably since the last time we met up in person.
So that would have been 3 weeks ago.
Well, a while ago now. I haven't left. I've only left Killingall twice since then, and that was to go and see my grandma.
Right. All right.
And that
she's doing all right.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Harry sent me those pictures, Harry, a week or so ago of Harrogate in the early evening. It was dead.
Oh yeah.
And that's just weird. That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was utterly surreal walking through Harrogate at that time, and it was 5:30 in the evening. And normally, even on a week,
pretty busy.
It is very busy. But it was 5:30, and there was nobody about. What's worse is a very ironic song, "The End" by the Doors, was playing. So I think that might have made it a bit more creepier. But yeah, it was. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. To be quite blunt.
But the thing about it as well, is something we should add, is that Harrogate, for a town of its size, has horrendous rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
Especially in the evening.
The thing I don't understand is one of the building a hospital in Harrogate. You know,
a
Nightingale Hospital, which to me is bizarre because it's not the easiest place to get to, and it's full of old people. It's full of the most vulnerable people to the disease, and I mean, no bugger can get here.
Yeah, but George, you say that. I mean, it's mainly going to be servicing the East Coast, from what I've told, because the East Coast doesn't have anything like. I mean, put it this way: the conference centre, not the conference centre, the exhibition centre, which is where the Harrogate Nightingale Hospital is. It's one of the largest spaces of its kind in Western Europe. Also, from the perspective of NHS staff, there are I counted 5 or 6 hotels in walking distance of that place. It's easy for them to be able to go and stay there. So it's got the infrastructure for doctors, nurses.
I'm just thinking though,
to be able to stay in the hotels.
I guess it's not perfect, but it does the job, I suppose.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not going to be there forever.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
Only a temporary measure.
It might not, depending on how things go over the next couple of weeks. It might not even be needed.
Oh yeah.
Which you might think might be an almighty waste of money, but we don't know at this stage. You can't really make that argument.
It's a situation that's changing very quickly.
Something's
just changed so fast.
Something that is worth conversation is Donald Trump's approach to this.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
We can all agree he is an utter cretin.
He is. He's a bloody pillock.
And
you backed him in 2016, George.
I didn't back him.
It was only a bet. It was only a bet.
I was the only person in our politics class that predicted he was going to win. And
that is true.
Correct.
I had to give you £5 or something, didn't I?
I can't remember.
But I think we did have a bet about it.
His approach to it has just been utterly moronic.
Yeah.
That's
the kind of thing that will cost lives.
It's very unfortunate that he's taken the approach he has taken. What he's got to think is that it's an election year for him.
If it's held this year.
One extremely funny thing I did see though is that in February it was the highest sale of guns in America, and they did a poll. They did a poll to see why people have been buying so many guns, and the number one reason was because they were scared of coronavirus.
So coronavirus, we'll be going by a gun.
I saw a separate poll, and I'm not making this up, that apparently 30% of Americans thought that coronavirus had been spread by the Corona Beer Company.
What?
Another
Did
funny.
they actually believe that?
Another
They actually
funny.
believe that.
Another funny
I'm not
American
making that
thing.
Then again, I mean, the Americans, well, a good proportion of them aren't known for intelligence.
Another funny American thing I saw in the newspaper actually was that a man got arrested for trying to teach his dog how to drive a car.
What?
No joke. He was driving down. He was
must
driving.
have had a pretty rough ride.
He was driving down the highway because there was no one on the roads, obviously, because they're in lockdown, with the dog in the driver's seat.
Wait, where was this?
In Washington State.
Oh my God.
Oh, so on the West Coast.
Actually, I've got a good one for you. This happened in this country. It was in the Manchester Evening News. A bloke who I think lived in Coventry went with his wife to Salford to pick up some
Windows.
windows.
Why would
that
you
he
go to
bought on-
Salford to pick up windows?
No, but it gets better. To get some windows that he bought on eBay, which is I think it was a 160-mile trip up to Salford, so it's a 220-mile round trip. They got to Salford, picked up the windows, realised that he couldn't fit them in the boot, so he put his wife in the boot and the windows on the front seat. And they got stopped.
Oh dear.
They got stopped
See,
on the motorway when they were heading back by the police, and he only got a fine.
I saw the story.
Fine.
I saw the
How
story,
much-
but I just presumed that the reason the wife was in the boot is because he didn't want people to see him making a unnecessary journey with someone else. I didn't realise it was because he couldn't fit the windows in.
Which begs the question: what car did he have?
Oh yeah,
One.
I mean, he could have had a Nissan Micra or something.
Or
And
like
how
I
big were the
got.
windows?
Yeah, exactly. Was it double? Was it conservatory door windows or something? I don't know.
And why would you get them from?
Features why he went to Salford to pick
Yeah,
up the
why
windows.
would you go to Salford? I mean, it's full of dodgy businessmen.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
bought
it's a
them on
dodgy place in general.
Well, he bought them on eBay, so that should
Right.
explain a couple of things.
But
Another good
even
one.
so, it's
Yeah.
not exactly a place for a day trip.
No, I mean another
during
good
a-
one. I heard.
Viral lockdown.
Oh, absolutely not. Should we go
and
sightseeing of Salford?
Another good one I heard was in Essex somewhere. Police had stopped a bloke who was driving unnecessarily, and the reason he gave for being on the road was because I'm going to pick up some drugs. And the police had to give him a fine. They didn't arrest him; they gave him a fine. And then they put out on Essex Police, then put out on Twitter a statement saying picking up drugs is not a valid reason for travel. Just arrest him.
Oh God! I mean, that
For
does
God's
just
sake.
What stuff were the police smoking? How did
that
they
does
not
just
arrest
show
him?
how dumb some people are, though.
Yeah.
I know. Oh God.
The problem is, I guess the definition of essential is so vague for some people. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Oh God. Yeah.
I think the
mean,
only problem is it would have to go to a full lockdown if we wanted everybody to stay indoors. But again, essential is a very subjective definition. What might not be essential to you
well,
is
that-
not essential to somebody else. That being said, drugs don't count in that.
no. You make a good point, Harry, because the people are going to
Unless you're
have
Keith
different-
Richards.
unless you're Keith Richards
I mean, he stopped smoking weed though.
or a Stevie
Really?
Nicks.
So he says. So he says.
Yeah, you bear in mind, Harry, Keith Richards snorted his father's ashes.
Yeah.
He did.
Which is.
No, I know he did.
Anyway, I have a new thing that I would like to try. In which,
Oh,
What's this
God,
new
yes.
thing?
in which I've come up with a list of things on my phone, and some of them are just I'll just say one thing to either one of you or both of you, and you basically just have to do the first reaction that
God.
comes into your head. I mean, it can be
Okay.
spoken or anything like that. So,
Anything visual?
it can be anything. You can speak,
Like
you can talk about it or whatever. The first one is for both of you, and Matt can go. Matt can go first. Gordon Brown.
Oh dear. Oh boy. Am I allowed to say the one well, bless him. He tried his best, did Brownie. He probably, actually, in fairness, did get us out of a bit of a financial hole. But on the whole, he was a bit useless.
Yeah.
Harry, do you need to add anything?
Zero. Well, basically, zero charisma, worst chancellor, and probably one of the worst prime ministers ever. As well as being, as I said, incredibly boring.
And he only had one eye, but anyway.
Oh, I see.
Harry, this one's for you. Tinned tuna.
Vomit! Seriously, I hate that stuff. It's the worst thing ever. How could anyone like tinned tuna? Blech.
Okay, next one. Next one.
I quite liked it. I quite liked tin tuna.
Oh no, not you. Oh, unlimited minutes. Brilliant.
Oh, love it. Go away. The next one is pretty random. Nissan Micra.
Who's that for?
Both of you.
Harry can go first.
Well, I don't really know a lot about Nissan cars, apart from the fact they drive, they stay together on the road, and, well, they seem reliable from what I've heard from them. I don't know much about them, though, so I think Matt will probably describe it better.
The Nissan Micra specifically, though.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Right. In terms of Nissan in general, Nissan is probably one of the better car manufacturers, but they hit a real dud with the Micra. It's terrible. It's probably one of the worst cars they make at the moment.
I would agree. Okay, next one is for Matt. The French or the Italians?
In what context? War or food?
Just in general, the French or the Italians?
In terms of food, the Italians. In terms of war, run away and side with the Americans because they are both useless. I'm sorry. The French is the best general the French ever had was Joan of Arc. And what happened to her? They turned her over to us and we burnt her. That is how
You certainly don't hold back here, Matt.
Harry, this one's for you. Red or white?
I'm presuming you mean wine.
Oh, yes.
Well, it depends on what you are eating, but if I had to choose, it would be a good glass of red wine.
Marvellous. Matt, this one's for you. Cyclists or old people driving?
Old people driving.
Well, that makes...
Does that mean you?
I'm Thank you, Harry. No, I have more tolerance for old people driving than I do for cyclists because not all old people who drive are complete morons.
Fair enough. Harry, Morrissey or Liam Gallagher?
Well, it's like choosing which is the least worst. So if I had to say, Liam Gallagher over Morrissey ended it. I mean, I just think Morrissey's an annoying person.
I completely agree with your choice.
I mean, Liam Gallagher's not perfect. And I think, yes, he can be a bit of a prat, especially when he's trying to insult Noel, just because Oasis won't reunite. But on the whole, I think he's pretty decent on the whole, I think.
I saw an interview with Morrissey yesterday, and I just thought, you absolute...
More about the far-right stuff.
Oh, yeah. He's obsessed with political views that, let's just say, should not exist.
Yeah, he should just shut up, honestly.
This is the last one, and it's for both of you, and I presume it may cause a bit of a debate. It is a music one. Led Zeppelin
Lord.
Oh God.
or Madness?
Oh, that's not even a real question, is it? Oh, Led
Both
Zeppelin
are good.
any day.
No,
I mean,
hang
you
on a minute, hang
can't
on a minute.
beat you can't beat Led Zeppelin's first 6 albums. Well, maybe the Beatles can, but Led Zeppelin over Madness. I'm sorry,
Hang
man.
on a
That's
minute.
not even a legit question.
Hang on a minute. I should emphasise, both bands are very good, and it's wrong to compare them because they are completely different styles of music. They're both good. That's all I'm saying.
Which is best?
Zepp.
In terms of, well, based on the fact that I've seen both Madness and I haven't seen Led Zeppelin, but I've seen Robert Plant. The better performers were Madness. I think probably in terms of the musicality, Led Zeppelin's probably better.
Ah, interesting.
That's a good admission.
I did.
I mean, each member of Led Zeppelin's the best at their instrument, I would say. At least that's what a BBC poll in 2005 did. They asked people to compile the dream band, and literally all 4 members of Led Zeppelin were at the top of each instrument.
And
Which
then
says a lot to say the least.
one of them died.
By choking on his own
Yeah,
vomit.
that was unfortunate.
Did he?
Yeah,
Oh, same as Bon Scott then.
yeah. Quite dark, that.
Charming.
Ugh.
Shall we
Anyway.
move? Can we ask
Yeah.
you a
Yeah,
question?
Yeah, you can ask me something.
Who would you prefer?
Oh,
Um,
where's this going?
The Who or Pink Floyd?
The Who.
Well, that's
Absolutely no doubt.
Who?
I mean, I know you're going to hate me for this, Harry, but to me,
Who?
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, I've never really understood that album. To me, it's just noise.
Noise. I mean, it's each their own at the end of the day. I mean, I think Pink Floyd's more of a connoisseur's band, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah.
I think you either
God,
really,
yeah.
really love Pink Floyd, or you either think, what the hell is all this?
The thing I
But
do
yeah,
like...
I mean, it's
the
each
thing-
their own.
The thing I do like about them, though, is that none of them are interested in fame.
Yeah. I mean, David Gilmour just donates all this stuff he has to charity.
Yeah.
Though Roger Waters never shuts up about Donald Trump. He
Roger
doesn't
Waters
like
has
Donald Trump, for the record.
Roger Waters has some very disturbing views
Yeah.
on politics.
I've never really
He's
watched anything about him.
He's just a bit of a nut.
He refuses to perform in Israel, but is perfectly fine with doing gigs in Russia.
Ah.
Yeah. He's a massive hypocrite. I mean,
which is a very worrying.
great
side.
musician, but just, yeah, politically, I wouldn't even go there with Roger Waters, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
We can all admit that the
yeah.
worst musical performance ever is Yoko Ono singing Great Gig in the Sky.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Even I did Great Gig in the
Forgotten about
Sky
that.
better than her.
I've forgotten about that.
I mean-
God, what if you don't know what we're talking about? This was a video. Oh God, we found it when we were still at school.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a
yeah.
couple of
And it
years
was
ago it came out.
Oh yeah, it was, and it really random video. Great Gig. For those of you who don't know, Great Gig in the Sky is basically the Pink Floyd song where it's a lady just basically screaming and
yeah.
wailing to music. And this particular video had Yoko Ono in what looked like a scaled-down shopping centre, just
It was an art gallery.
screaming into into an art gallery, just screaming into a microphone, and it looked like she was having a seizure.
I wish somebody had asked her, "Are you okay?"
I mean, to any
okay?
But
avid
it's not the
Oh,
first
no.
time she's done that, though.
to any avid Pink Floyd enthusiast, that would just be. I mean, Harry, that must have been your worst nightmare. It was John Lennon's wife and you love the Beatles singing a Pink Floyd song and you love Pink Floyd.
And
It's almost like
absolutely
insulting
butchering
my
it.
mother. Yeah.
Wait, Yoko
And
Ono's your
absolutely
mother?
Butchering it.
No, Yoko Ono is not my mother. I was saying Yoko Ono, the woman who ruined John Lennon and who butchered Great Gig in
In
the Sky.
every way.
Well, she is the Antichrist.
Oh God!
It's not the first time she's done that though. When she was on, well, John Lennon was invited to perform with Chuck Berry on television in the early 1970s. The problem is Yoko Ono came on with John, and she had her own microphone. And so when Chuck Berry and John Lennon were doing, I think it was Johnny B. Good, Yoko Ono was just doing a thing in the middle. But the problem is, it was it was picked up on the microphone so you could hear her. But one of the technicians turned it off. So she tried doing it again in the song, and then nothing came out.
I've got
Look it up on YouTube. Seriously, it will make your day.
I've got a story about an experience that I had in terms of someone in a band that I was in who was not the best at what they did, and we turned the mic off.
Do we both know this?
No,
is this
you won't know this person because it was when I was at uni. It was when I was at university. I was in a jazz band and we were doing a gig, and one of the singers who we had with us, she was very keen, but I wouldn't have said she was the best singer in the world. The only song that she would sing with us was a song called Autumn Leaves, and she couldn't sing it in tune and she couldn't sing it in time. But she insisted. We thought, well, she keeps insisting that she wants to do a gig, so we thought, well, we'll get it out of the way. So we brought her on to do Autumn Leaves, and I said to the horn section, right, just play over the top of her, and we'll do it fairly quietly so as we're not trying to block her out. And then the tech guy just turned her mic off as she was singing it, or turned it right down to 0. And we got away with it. And we got away with it because fortunately she sang in time.
Well, that's all right then.
I thought you were going to speak about somebody else that we both know that we won't mention.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea to do that, to be honest.
I wasn't going to talk about this. Was an incident at university.
That's not good. There was one thing at at the Royal Northern where someone came in to do a masterclass. This guy, he was a guy called Mo Pleasure, which is a funny name as it is.
Mo Pleasure. Sounds like a Biggie Smalls rap or something.
But I mean, he's a great musician. He played keyboards for Michael Jackson. He did Earth, Wind and Fire, Ray Charles. He did everything. And some idiot decided to get up and start playing piano with him and singing, forgot the lyrics, and then started scat singing. And I mean, you both know me. You both know me. When I start laughing, I do find it hard to keep it in. And I did nearly wet myself.
I can confirm that.
You find it hard to keep it in, and you find it impossible to stop.
Oh yeah,
as well.
It was very embarrassing.
I've sounds very funny
actually. I've got another story. We got invited to do a wedding gig for a girl with the blues band I was in, and it's the girl who was getting married. We knew because she'd been in the band, and she wanted us to play at her reception. And we turned up, got set up, and all that. And then it transpired one of the guests at the wedding had been a former boyfriend of one of the singers who was going to be singing with us that night. And he
nasty.
No, it doesn't get nasty. It's just he was also a keyboard player, and he saw us, and we did our first set, and then we came off for a break, and then he came up to us and was like getting really kind of pushy, and was basically insisting that we let him play keys for the second part. And we just kind of diplomatically said, well, you have to speak to the keys player about it. He was a really nice guy called James. And James, being James, had said, well, you could do a couple of songs. And we were like, oh, God. So we got him to do the the shortest song in our set, and that was it. We booted him off.
How
after
short
that.
was the song?
And I think it might have been Johnny Be Good, actually, the one
so
that he
just
did
2.5
with us,
minutes,
this guy. Yeah, it was pretty short. And and then afterwards, he wasn't best pleased that we'd kicked him off after one song.
You've done your bit, now
'Cause he
go.
because he came up to us and said, "You promised I could do more than one," and just like, no, we said you could do one, but we have our own keyboard player here tonight. It's not fair on him. He's the one who's.
And also, it's
paid
your
to
gig.
do this, not. Yeah, it was our gig. He was trying to upstage us.
Bit of an ego there, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mind because the bride played sax in the band before she graduated and then obviously got married. And she asked me in the break, "Oh, can I borrow your sax to just play a song with you?" Because she played with us a couple of years earlier, and I didn't mind doing that because she's the bride and she'd been a former member of the band.
So she blew on your sax.
She did. Yeah.
I bet her husband to be wasn't pleased about that.
He thought the bands were great. That's what I will say to that in response.
Anyway, on that note,
That was brilliant.
before we run out of time and this recording stops. Actually, I wonder if I can press stop and then carry it on.
That's a good point, actually. Get round it.
Anyway.
The paywall.
I don't think I can though.
Yes.
Anyway, Harry,
Okay,
do you want to do the honourable wrapping up again?
Yes, with deep regret, it is the end of our show, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you all give us a like on Facebook and also a subscribe on YouTube as well, where you can see an embarrassing video of me falling over in my garden. It bloody hurt as well.
And soon a video of Matt falling over on a bollard.
Oh, when's this? We need to find out
that
when
has been
that's coming
shared
out.
plenty.
I don't think it's been shared enough.
Anyway.
I think we need to share it more.
Anyway.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.